Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global community. This is John Farrar, CEO of Nimble, and we're lucky and I'm excited to have Kendra Lee to inspire and educate us about lead generation strategies that work today. Kendra, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Kendra, I just want to plug you and your organization, Women Sales Pros. You all inspire and educate on a daily basis sales and even marketing people how to be better, smarter, faster. I love your group's energy, your vibrancy. I feel lucky that I've been able to attend 2 of those conferences, and you all inspire me. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the support that you provide and going even to your solution, the application that you provide that helps us be successful with clients.
You bet. I love to build those things. And so you started your sales career in accounting. It's funny. I started as a systems engineer, and you failed the entry-level sales exam. That's so great. I really do believe that some of the best salespeople have engineering backgrounds and business backgrounds beyond just selling, and you certainly proved them wrong, and that your organization, KLO Group, guides small and medium-sized businesses on a daily basis. And I just listening to you and just the little bits of wisdom that you've added through the polls, I know that we're in store for something great here. For those that don't know me, my name is John Ferrara. I've been building relationship management systems, it seems, all my life. I started because I struggled as a salesperson. I managed my leads with pieces of paper and a day timer and a spreadsheet. And I thought there was a better way. I couldn't find it, so I built it. That was back in the DOS days, the DOS days. Started a company called Goldmine, which was Outlook and Salesforce combined before either existed, and sold that company when I was 40, and spent 10 years raising 3 babies, which was a gift to me, precious. And I got back in the business when I started to use social media in 2009 and 10 and 11. I saw how it's going to change the way we work, play, buy, and sell. I couldn't find a relationship manager that enabled me to utilize it with social. And then I saw that contact management and CRM were kind of broken because CRM systems aren't really about relationships. They're more about reporting. And I wanted to put the R back in relationships. So we built Nimble. Next slide. So for those of you that are attending today, we have a series of webinars that we bring in thought leaders that vibrate with us. Kendra is certainly one of those. And we bring them in because we believe that if we teach you to fish, you'll figure out that we sell fishing poles. If you want to learn more about using Nimble, we have webinars on a daily basis, or we have different types of webinars on a weekly basis and daily sessions for onboarding. Feel free to go to nimble.com. I think it's /webinars. Neto, if you could put the URL in the chat window. And you can sign up for additional webinars to learn specifically about Nimble. Today, though, we're going to learn about marketing strategies that help you grow. And with that, Kendra, take us away with your agenda.
Absolutely. And thank you, John. I have to say, Goldmine was my favorite CRM for a very long time, till we got to the point that it wasn't a fit anymore.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why people love products like Goldmine and Act was that they were built for the salesperson as opposed to the sales manager or the owner, and that salespeople need tools that help them build relationships and engage, but CRM became a reporting and control platform. But that's another story. And with that, Kendra, take us away.
Absolutely. So what we're going to talk about today is what's working in lead generation right now, and frankly, what is not working. Our organization, as I mentioned during the polls, works on both sides of new business development, where we actually run and manage lead generation for smaller businesses that are between $1 million and $85 million in annual revenue. And then we also work with their sales teams, training and coaching their sales team to prospect as well as sell consultatively. And in doing that, this past year has really been very interesting. We saw the salespeople really floundering, trying to figure out how the heck are we going to reach prospects because nobody's answering their phone, because of course they're not at the same phone anymore. And oh, by the way, we can't even find them on their phone, so we flock to LinkedIn. At the same time, on the lead generation side, people were struggling with, well, how are we going to get our message out? All of a sudden, we can't go and do events, or we can't network like we used to. We're not getting together, so we can't do referrals. And so we saw a lot of change happen this past year on the marketing side. And today I'm going to share with you what our observations have been, our experience as we've been working with the clients whose lead generation we manage, and as we're monitoring what's going on, because we're still shifting, even with all of our clients, as we're watching what's working and what's not. And so my goal is to share with you what it is that we're observing so that you can learn from that and apply it within your own business. Now, the number one strategy that you need for 2021 is agility. You have to have marketing agility, which means that you may have to switch up what your message is. You may have to even switch your target market because it's not working. Now, later, I will tell you that one of the most important things in marketing is also consistency. But what it is it's being consistent at going out to your market and staying in front of them and still trying to be visible. But we have to be agile in how we are thinking about it. And with salespeople, and I'm going to do the same thing if you're in marketing, I'll step back and I'll say, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I know lead generation is more challenging. And I know that people aren't necessarily picking up their phone. And I know that they're not answering their emails. And I know that Microsoft, Yahoo, and Google are making it really hard to reach somebody's inbox if you're sending an email. And that LinkedIn is becoming the number one place for spammers. If you see how people are trying to connect with you and then suddenly get a coffee with you, just so they can tell you about all their solutions. I know we've got all of that, but the reality is you can still find leads. Step back, take a deep breath. That's what I've been telling people. Just take a deep breath. You've got this, because people are buying. I mean, there is this light at the end of the tunnel, because we know there is a vaccine coming. The world is starting to feel just more positive in general, and companies are realizing that they cannot put all of their business and their strategy on hold forever. Last year, the first half of the year after COVID struck, everyone was in a wait and see mode. And then at the last half of the year, we started to see people investing again. And so they were paying attention to your marketing. So the key for you is to just be agile and reading, well, where are people? What is it that I need to do? In being agile and talking about messaging, the one thing that I would share is we still have to talk about what the immediate problem is that people have today. That's one place to be agile in your messaging. What is it that they need right now? Yes, they need to keep thinking about their business from a strategic perspective. However, they aren't yet ready to invest strategically. There are some companies that are, but for the most part, companies are focused on investing on what they need right now. So in being agile, you're paying attention to the marketplace and where they are thinking they've got the problems, and those are the problems that you're talking about. We're not going to be as strategic as we were pre-COVID, not yet anyway. So let's talk about, well, what the heck is working today and what is waning. The first two strategies that you want to implement are being inclusive and getting interactive. The time has never been more ripe for being inclusive. And it's interesting, when we're developing websites, one of the first things that will catch my eye when I go and I look at a site that our team is developing is if all the pictures are Caucasian people. Where are we showing our diversity? Where are we including other people just in them visiting our website? And that's one place that people just have never looked and actually noticed. But now you want to be inclusive in everything from the visuals that you're doing to how you are talking to people. And my example I just gave you was in a visual diversity. It could be age, not just race. It can be sexuality, could be disabilities, but we want to be inclusive in all of our approaches to people. And everybody is looking for that, and it's becoming, they're more aware of it. It's becoming more visible. So one of the first strategies is to be inclusive. And with marketing as visual as it is, between the videos to the pictures that we use on social, even in the still videos, on your blogs, in your website, you can show that very easily. So be inclusive is the first strategy to implement. The second one is getting interactive in what you're doing. Now, social makes it really easy, but even this webinar, look at what we did at the very beginning. John had you introduce yourselves. So we started a whole conversation with you, and I'm talking so I can't see, but you may be putting things in the question box and actually chatting with each other. We did the polls and we talked about the polls. In webinars, you can do that. The platforms have set it up. When we are delivering our platforms at KLA, we have chats going on where the participants are chatting with each other all through the webinar. It's actually really fun to see that there's like a whole nother level of learning going on over in the chat because it's interactive and we're allowing it. Ironically, the same platform says, oh, you can turn off the chat if you want. Why the heck would I do that? And I don't care if they disagree with what we're saying, because there's something to be learned in that too. So think about what are the ways that you can be interactive in your blogs. You know, it used to be, I haven't seen a blog where you could comment on them in a very long time, except in large companies. But it used to be that was how you handled blogs. But you can ask people to interact with you in the blog. You can set up polls and quizzes. You can share what you've heard. Social, of course, is extremely interactive. So reply to the people who reach out to you, not the spammers. I'll give you a pass on the spammers, the people who only want to tell you about how they can help you with all their products. Unless you need their product, then yes, interact. But you can absolutely reach out and engage with people. And there have just never been more ways to do that. If it fits your company, having contests that you run is another way of doing it. Even on your website, offering something like a calculator that allows them to interact with your website. So think about what are all the ways that I can get interactive from a marketing perspective with who our prospects are and who we're trying to engage with. And the more interactive you are, the more people are going to want to spend time with you. John's quote about, what did you say? Oh, if you teach them to fish, you'll figure out that we sell fishing poles. Well, if we can get them interacting, they're going to figure out that we sell fishing poles and which fishing pole they want to buy. The next strategy to implement is increasing your online presence. We're all online already, But here it's doing even more of that getting interactive, and it's looking for ways that we can be collaborative. From a marketing perspective with clients, if you're using a tool like Microsoft Teams, for example, you may be interactive that way because you may have clients who are part of your team. And now you can chat with each other within the platform. That's a way. Hosting the informative webinars, that's a way to be interactive, where I talked about how you can get interactive, and that will increase your online presence. Another way that you can increase your online presence is with your social. If you're not doing social now, then figuring out ways that you can be more active with social. And then, of course, podcasts are another way. We have a client who is always coming up with new ideas and new things that people need to think about. And we've been discussing how he has the right presence and the right thought process that just lends itself to a podcast. Maybe that's appropriate for you. There are so many different types that are out there that you could fit into for your target market and create your online presence. Your goal is just to be visible so that everybody knows that you're there, and help them with teaching them to fish so they know you sell fishing poles. Engaging on social media is what I just talked about. There's so many more ways since COVID hit. You definitely want to be active on social. Here's what's interesting though. It's not just the informational content that you can be active with. You also can share what are the types of things that you do. I talk about the amount of spamming that we've seen on LinkedIn. That's one-on-one, where salespeople are going and saying, hey, here's what we sell. I'd really like to talk with you about it. I think this is for another webinar, but I think they could do a better job with how they are approaching people, as opposed to just saying, hey, here's everything that we do. Do you need it? Which is the equivalent of it. But you on the marketing side can be sharing, hey, if these are the issues that you have, we can help. So talking about that problem that I mentioned about staying agile with people, you want to do that in your social. Talk about the issues that you know people are experiencing and give them suggestions. And they'll see that you've got the fishing pole that can help them. So really get engaged on social media and think about all the different ways that you can do it. It's no longer just the hi, how are you, or sharing the latest blog post. It can be very valuable content and inviting people in to have conversations with you about how you can help. The last one that is a strategy you want to implement is one of the ones that I consider to be critical right now in the environment that we're in, and that is leveraging your local SEO. So when we manage lead generation for clients, we set a lead generation strategy up based on the target markets that they are focused on. And their strategy includes a combination of tactics. So, we'll be doing marketing campaigns. There's the content marketing where we're writing the blog content, the social media management. In this past year, SEO has become extremely important because it's been harder to reach people. Yes, we'll run webinars and other activities, but we're pushing those out to the lists of people we already have or the connections that we already have. What SEO does is it introduces you to people you don't know, or it reintroduces you to people who have heard of you, And now they see you popping up when they do an organic search on Google. And they say, oh, that's right. I heard that webinar with John Ferrara and Kendra Lee. I know of her. I know that company. And now they're more likely to call you. So where email campaigns and webinars are all going out to the people you know, and to a degree, so is your social, because it's going out to the connections that you have. SEO introduces you to anybody who is doing a search for whatever it is you rank for. And now you're introduced to new people. And depending on what they've searched on, you're introduced at different points in their buying cycle. So search engine optimization in this past year has become critical. When it's been harder to build the lists and reach new people, SEO puts you in front of a whole new audience so that they get to know who you are and invites you in to work with them. And you get a whole new batch of leads that you may not have. Now, the local side of SEO focuses on being sure that you are on Google My Business, that your name, address, and phone number, in SEO language known as your NAP, is correct across all the different directories that are out on the internet, so that you are ranking high. And you're doing geotagging, for example. All of those allow you to leverage being local so that people in your area can find you. I could go very deep on that. I've done whole webinars on SEO, but that's all I'm going to say there. Those are the 5 strategies that you want to be sure that you are implementing today. Right now, these are what we're seeing are working. Now, let me stop here and say, John, do we have any questions before I start talking about what you do if your marketing failed?
Well, yes, we do have questions, Kendra. Thank you. One of them was from somebody who says that they work in a niche industry, and they were wondering how to be able to effectively prospect in that niche. Let me get the specific question here. I work in a small niche marketplace providing consulting services for workers' compensation adjusters, rife with personal relationships. How do I overcome these relationships?
Well, first, I would say you want to build your own personal relationships with those same people. So you're not going to ignore them, but you want to start building your own. And of course, relationships take time, but you still want to start building those. And you want to be the one who's in the background if whoever they have their primary personal relationship with is not working. So I would say that's a sales strategy you absolutely want to employ. And another thing I would add there that we've noticed that's happened with COVID is you'll see that there have been people who have decided to retire, people who are changing careers. And so for you, that could absolutely open up new opportunities. It's been fun to watch how the people who are retiring are now being replaced by the people who hadn't quite been on the forefront in their industries, watching them step into those roles as others have stepped out and retired. So you could be one who's stepping in. So don't discount that. Now, from a niche perspective, be the one who's out there talking about everything that's going on in workmen's compensation from the perspective that you feel people need to be thinking about. You want to become one of those experts. You want to become that up and coming person that people should listen to and will start listening to. So I would start with creating content around that, blog posts, emails, talking it up on social media, and then look for places where you can speak. Speaking has been one of the areas that has been very successful for people during COVID. You get visible. So look for people who have podcasts within your niche and even outside your niche, because you'd be amazed at where your niche may actually be listening that's outside of the norm. So content, and then do go build those relationships. That's how I would start.
I'd 100% agree with that. I think that ultimately, if it's a small community of people that are in the workers' compensation adjuster, or really any community, and you want to get involved with that, you need to establish yourself as one of those trusted advisors. And you do that by giving your knowledge away to inspire and educate them about how you might help them become better, smarter, faster at workers' comp adjusting. And you do that by, building your own content and speaking. But if you are not a writer and you're not really great at developing your own content, you could essentially just go curate content that is inspirational, educational in and around the areas of your products and services, and share that content. Because ultimately, those thought leaders that are building that content, if you share that and engage with those thought leaders enough, eventually you'll learn enough and you'll become one of those thought leaders. And when they move along, then you can move into one of those slots. And so if you don't write, don't be afraid to share and repurpose other people's content.
Okay. Those are all great comments.
Let's keep going, and we'll have some more questions at the end.
Okay, perfect. So now let's talk about what are you going to do if your marketing failed last year and all you have are empty seats. Here's your game plan. If your marketing did not work last year and you're not seeing the results that I'm going to say that you predicted, that doesn't mean you need to abandon your whole strategy all at once, okay? It just means we have to be agile and look and see where might we correct it. So these are 5 ways that you can do that. The first one is to confirm your target market. Last year, if you were in retail or you were in hospitality, still, that's a tough place to try to sell right now. So are there ancillary markets that go along with that you could sell to? Or are there people within it, now you're going to get even more niche, who recognize that this is an opportunity if they use it the right way? Because it's been interesting. Not every hotel or every restaurant has said, oh my gosh, we can't do anything. There have been those who have seen new opportunities just because they've had to switch as a result of the pandemic. So either you're looking for another target market that you could work in, or you're changing who are the personas or the decision makers and that are in it, and now how do we get more refined about who could need us? If you're a salesperson, you need a list of 50 to 100 people, and that's all to go after to begin. And not until you get through that whole list of 50 to 100 people and you've talked to them and you've qualified them, do you need to go on to the next 50 to 100 people. So as a salesperson, creating that niche around the profile of who could be a good target for you can help you to get very specific and find the right contacts. In marketing, it's a matter of looking at your target markets and which ones are performing. And the ones that aren't, maybe the ones you put on the back burner and you just drip on, and you look for a new market that really has a need now. It goes back to what I said at the beginning about knowing what is the problem that people have that you could solve right now. We do a lot of work in IT, and through June, being able to work remotely was a big issue that many of our clients had. So they were busy helping people figure out, how do I make everybody's staff remote? And then the second half of the year was, okay, how do they do that securely? Because we have all these cybersecurity breaches going on. So looking at what is the immediate problem that's going on right now and using that to help you figure out, well, who's the target market I talk to? So confirm your target market. Then be agile in your marketing by integrating all sorts of different tactics. You'll notice that I did not say, oh, the only thing to do now is search engine optimization. I said, no, there are 5 different things that you should be doing, and I'm going to give you some specific areas in a moment, but it's not, we're only going to run email campaigns. We're only going to do pay-per-click. We're only going to do search engine optimization. That is not going to work right now, especially because in the past, we used to know where we could find our target markets because it was a normal world. Well, now with everybody remote and few people still back in the office, people are all operating differently, and target markets don't necessarily all go to the exact same place to find information. So the more agile you can be and align all different types of tactics, the better for you that you'll be found. Number 3, making valuable offers and differentiate is, this is John's saying, where you are going to teach them how to fish. Give valuable content. Tell people what they need to know. Last year, when salespeople were really floundering, trying to figure out, well, how do I prospect now when people aren't around? We started doing webinars every other Friday, and we just told people, go do this. And we built guides and checklists like you couldn't believe, things that we never normally would have done, but we would tell them, here are 55 different ways you can go and market. Here are 60 ways to prospect remotely. Here's a call guide. We gave them every single thing we could think of that could help them be successful. So think about what's the problem. And for us, it was people didn't know how to prospect, or they didn't know how to do lead generation because everything changed. And then make valuable offers that they want. They may not be able to buy your fishing pole today, but they might be able to buy your bait, or they might need your fishing pole in 6 months. So have those valuable offers that really align with the problem within your target market, and then show your differentiation as part of that. The way that you sell can distinguish you. What you talk about could distinguish you. The features can distinguish you. So have those valuable offers on your website, in your selling, that you're sending out to people, that you're using in webinars. Integrate your sales as part of it. Make sure they know the messaging. Okay, this is the problem that we're all seeing. People don't know how to prospect, and we've got these resources, plus we can coach them, or they could take training. Make sure sales knows that and is involved and is following up. And then give it more time. Marketing is like a tree. You plant the seed or you plant the sapling and you let it flourish over time. You don't want to drop it and give it up, or you'll lose all of the valuable ground that you've gained. You're continuing to, use the old term, drip on people. So if your marketing didn't work last year, these are the things that you want to be doing. And then, of course, we have to mind our budget. So here I want to talk about what strategies you really want to be careful of. I'm going to recommend that you be very cautious if you're going to do pay-per-click. What we have seen is those that are successful right now with pay-per-click are doing ads that focus on a very specific issue that can be solved right now without a lot of change management required in an organization. So we have a set of clients that sell IT managed services. They'll come in and they'll manage your networks. They'll manage all of your remote staff. And they'll make sure everybody is up and running, safe and securely. when most companies have an IT managed service provider. So the sales process, unless something has broken, can take a long period of time because you have to displace whoever the incumbent is. However, if you have broken equipment or you are trying to teach your staff how to use Microsoft Teams, for example, or how to use Zoom, that's an immediate need that someone might have. They're more likely to buy that than they are to buy something that requires change management within an organization when the organization is already trying to figure out how do we work in this pandemic environment. So with pay-per-click, it's got to be an item that people need right now and they can purchase relatively easily. If it's going to require a lot of thought process, you may get people who click, although we've actually seen a decline in those. But you may get people who click, but they may not convert to a sale. So pay-per-click, be very cautious and know what it is you are selling is something that they can easily buy now. And then definitely use search engine optimization. Even though you're on a budget, if you're already writing content, then send it out through email, but make sure you have optimized it for search engines. Make sure that you're not just focused on keywords, but that you are also looking at the local SEO and what's known as off-page search engine optimization, where you're getting in directories and you are doing the Google My Business and you have good backlinks and you don't have toxic backlinks. That your website is technically sound so that when Google looks at it, they're going to say, yep, this is a company we should rank. So search engine optimization is one that I would definitely do. I would also keep up the email campaigns, even though it is difficult to reach people's inboxes, because you're already creating the content. It's still one of the least expensive ways to reach out to people. And then you refine how you're writing. The last thing I would say for minding your budget is get your sales team on the phone and calling people, not just doing LinkedIn connections and messages and sending emails, but actually picking up the phone and leaving a voicemail, even if they don't reach a person, because not many people are trying to reach people. And if they are following up consistently, at some point, that person's going to take their call, return their call, or return the email that you sent following it. If your sales team is struggling, then get them training or coaching. Those are the places I would put budget right now. So I'm going to show you a couple of offers, and then we are going to take a couple of free things that I've got for you. And then I'm going to take questions. John, does that work?
You bet. I've got the questions all queued up and we're ready to go.
Cool. So if, what we've been talking about today has been all lead generation related. And if those are places that you would like more help, there are 3 ways that we work with clients. We manage their lead generation. We do the prospecting training and coaching, where we're working with the sales team to be able to sell more effectively and get in the door. And then once you reach a certain maturity level, we work with the leadership team on their hiring process so that they're hiring the right salespeople and the marketing person, as well as putting their sales process in place. And our whole focus is around getting more customers, because in spite of this pandemic and everything that's going on, you should be able to get more customers. So that's our focus. And if we should be working together or talking about that, just let me know. I have for you, since we talked about marketing, a free guide, 55 marketing activities to reach leads. And this was fun. It's 50 different activities and 7 different strategies that you can use in marketing to uncover new leads. So to pull them in to you. You can mix and match them, launch them, and then get leads. You're not going to do all 55. You're going to read through it and say, which are the ones that would fit for me? And this is free. It's on our website, and you can use the link klagroup.com/ebooks and go there. There are also a whole bunch of other things that are out there. So feel free to look through it and grab what will help you be most successful as we're navigating through our dynamic times. If we should be working together, we run lead generation for clients, where we will work together to plan what your strategy should be, create the content, implement, all doing it for you so that you can offload that anxiety and all the work associated with it. So if we should be talking about that or working with your sales team, reach out. Here's my email address, or go ahead and set up a meeting. I gave you my Calendly link there as well. So John, what questions do we have?
We've got some great questions queued up. First off, I just want to thank you for all of that lead generation wisdom. So let's go ahead and go through the questions. While I'm doing that, if anybody has additional questions, please feel free to type them into the box. So another question is from Nancy. Business networking is so important globally. How can we reach out globally? Are webinars still better to engage with people in different cultures?
Yes, webinars work very well in different cultures. And you heard, if you heard John at the very beginning, there's someone here from Ireland. If you can give your webinar early enough in the day, if your audience is in EMEA, in the European side, they absolutely will come. If your audience is in APAC, then give it later in the day, or even better yet, do it twice. And I know you can do recordings and people can listen to the recordings, but there's something about being live. And remember, I said one of the things we want to do is get interactive. Offering it twice and at time periods where a greater number of people could come, you will get those people live from outside the US. Now, a word on engaging, you have to be really careful with email, that you have to have permission, specifically that you can email if you are emailing to Europe. They have the most stringent anti-spam laws. So social is also another great way of engaging with Europe. And you can have a form of networking. And interestingly, Twitter for many in Europe can be a fun way of engaging. So look at some of the different social options, not just LinkedIn, where you also could expand who you're talking to, because to the Twitter universe, it's out to everybody and they can see your responses to different people. But I would absolutely do webinars and look and see if there are any events that are running virtually that you might be able to participate in.
So Kendra, I think that webinars really come after, in my mind, building your brand and your network through giving your knowledge away. I think that most business professionals have forgotten more about their products and services than their customers will ever know in their lives. And if they simply gave their knowledge away on a daily basis in the places that their prospects and customers have conversations to learn about becoming better, smarter, faster, that they would establish themselves as trusted advisors and be top of mind. And so at Nimble, we generate almost 100,000 uniques per month on our website with 0 paid. It's all through content sharing and engagement. And so if you go and identify inspirational content in and around the areas of your products and services, and you share that in all the appropriate places, and then listen and engage with those people to reel them into relationships, not for the purpose of closing them, but the purpose of helping them grow, then you will basically build a community around yourself globally. 60% of our Nimble customers are overseas with no targeting, so it organically just works.
Right. And to do that, you need the search engine optimization so they can find you. And what I would still do webinars and
Yes,
offer them out freely.
not to do webinars. I'm saying that that combined with content and social listening engagement is critical.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. And be open to whoever might come. Like you said, you know, you're open to whoever it might be that approaches you.
I have another question from Gary. I'm starting a new association management company. I'm struggling to reach association board members. No emails, addresses, phone numbers available, only names. Will LinkedIn work? Gary, there are tools that enable you to build profiles or records, including Nimble, that will give you people's emails and phone numbers. I would not necessarily just rely on LinkedIn, but even so, rather than just getting somebody's email or phone number and calling them and emailing them who's an association board member may not be the best means of reaching out to somebody, because that's a cold outreach. What I would do is I'd establish myself as a trusted advisor to those people by giving away knowledge and building relationships to the communities where they congregate in order to establish yourself as somebody as a go-to person for them. And then if you are having conversations in the places that they're learning and growing and conversing, and then you do reach out, that will be more of a warm call. But if you're looking for emails and addresses, Nimble will give you that information and allow you to do templated outreaches. And I find that those outreaches are best if I warm people up by sharing content to establish my brand and network, and had some preliminary conversations with them in softer places before I go to a firmer place like an email or a phone. Kendra, what do you think?
I agree with you. Any way that you can warm it up. And I like the idea of using Nimble to get the email addresses. You can also do LinkedIn, but it works much better if you've already warmed it up and you're not just doing that cold outreach. There's a lot going on in LinkedIn right now. It's a lot of competition.
Question from John: how can we leverage SEO with blog and website or LinkedIn? We use Squarespace for our website. I just started a blog on the website. Need help with SEO, organic and paid.
So Squarespace is difficult to maximize for SEO. It's really not set up for it. We do a lot of migrations from Squarespace and Wix to WordPress. So for you, I would recommend that you are doing the technical, are you doing the off-page SEO where you're focused on the directories? You are doing social bookmarking where you're getting seen in places like Reddit, do all the things that surround it, just because there's just not a lot that you can do. You can't do a lot of the strategies on Squarespace. Pull people back into your website from social by pushing them back to your blog. You still want to be the thought leader. You still want to be seen.
Kendra, what I found is that people use things like Wix and Squarespace because it's hard to do really nice sites in WordPress. Even though there are templates and plugins, it still requires some knowledge. But yes. Guess what? I don't work on my car's engine.
Exactly.
I hire a professional to get in there, and I don't really do a whole lot of my own plumbing because let's just face it, it's hard to get under those sinks and get back under there with a wrench and get some of those things open, and it's better to hire a professional. So in that regards, my wife, who's a landscape designer, she has a guy that does her WordPress, and this person is really great. And she just, she picked out a template and she has some ideas, and this person just does it, and it's not so expensive. And so there are some really good people that can help you. And I agree with Kendra 100% that you probably want to look into a WordPress site because Squarespace and Wix don't get indexed quite the same. I guess we have time for one last question. We're a little bit over the hour. But I'm going to look at how would you approach local SEO for a solo consultant, subject matter expert who does business in their own name from a home office? And Kendra, you kind of alluded to this with some of your Google business search, et cetera. But my wife is much like this person who's a solo consultant that works out of the home. I'm not sure what this person is consulting in, but ultimately you want to be seen by the local people looking for you. And there's all kinds of local things that she uses. She uses things like, Yelp and the Google business thing, but there's also specialized things for landscape people like design. I forget the name of them, but even Nextdoor. So there's a lot of places where you can go in and get your customers to give you reviews, and the reviews rank you better, and all this stuff helps. But Kendra, I'm sure you have some specifics you could share.
Absolutely. The Google reviews and the Yelp reviews will help you tremendously. Adding to Google My Business each week because it rolls off. It's just another social platform, but you have to put a new comment each week because it goes away after 5 days. Those are all strategies. If you want to get real technical about it, you can geotag on your website to your location as well. I like John's suggestions about Yelp, Nextdoor, Google testimonials. All of those will help you to be found locally. And then if you are a member of your chamber, and if there's a link from the chamber to your site because you are a member, that will help you. So any local organizations that you might belong to where you're cited will also help.
And then finally, I know I said the last one was the last one, but Nancy has a question about what tools do you recommend for targeting potential clients in B2B? And Kendra, what do you think? It's a question, so you could sort of take it to different places.
First off, I would say you want to have a target market because B2B is so broad. And depending on the size of your organization, you want to have identified, who are we going to go after? And if you're not sure, look at your current client base and what's the profile of the most common one? Is it based on size, location, industry? And then from a lead generation approach, I know you asked for tools. I'm going to give you strategies. B2B, any of the things that we've talked about, from the search engine optimization to email campaigns, your content, your social, all of that is a fit for B2B. And then you want to have a marketing automation tool that you can use to push it out. We use Infusionsoft. You may be using Constant Contact, which is more of an email system. It's not marketing automation, but those are a couple of tools. And then there are social tools, and of course, Nimble. So John, what would you add?
I think that when you say B2B, you have to be specific about what type of B2B that you're looking for. And once you are able to target that, there are tools that can go out and identify prospective people that fit personas, roles, and use cases. And then once you have those personas, roles, and use cases, you want to build content that essentially they would be searching for, and put that content out in social, on your website, in your social handles, in LinkedIn, etc. And the most important thing that you can do is to not just put content out, but to listen and engage with the people that respond, to build pay-it-forward relationships that result in you building a sustainable garden of people around you. Because it's not, you're going to need a garden of people around you to succeed in business. And with that, Kendra, you have any last words to share with our audience?
My recommendation is that you be very agile, or to use our host, you stay nimble, and really watch what your market is doing. watch what their current problems are and be very receptive, but don't stop your marketing and keep your sales team engaged.
And one thing I'll sort of close with is something that I see often, and something I'd recommend not to do and then to do. Stop talking about your products and services. Nobody cares. People don't buy great products. They buy better versions of themselves. And what you want to do is you want to be sharing how you can help other people become better, smarter, faster, because the more people you help grow, the more you will grow. And so put your customers at the center of your storytelling, make them the hero, show them how you can make them better, and they will beat a path to your door. Thank you so much for attending, Kendra. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what you know about lead generation, especially with the SEO stuff, because ultimately, Google changes their engine all the time. And how do you stand out both as a local person and a global person? And I think that one of the key things that you did share is essentially establishing the content necessary to set yourself apart as a trusted advisor, so that when people need your products and services, they not only pick up the phone, call you, but they drag their friends with them. That's what I took away.
Thank you. Well put.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good luck, and have a great rest of the week. Be safe and be well. Bye-bye.